All right, guys, we're going to take a look at the Dan Henry 1963. Big thanks to Clayton over at K9 Cardio. Actually, that's his YouTube username. So when you see him in the comments, it's actually K9 Cardio. I forget the full name of Rhode Island LLC. So anyway, big thanks to Clayton for sharing this with us. I know there's already a ton of Dan Henry fans out there, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of new ones. You know, once you go and explore their lineup, they have a bunch of really cool vintage inspired watches that would be otherwise impossible to get, especially at these price points. This watch is only $240, guys. So, and it's using modern materials, very high quality, and a very good looking watch all over. So it's a chronograph here. So we're going to go ahead and start the chronograph, and you're going to notice that it operates a little bit different than typically what you see. So it's the Miyota 6S20. I don't know a ton about this movement, the way the chronograph works on it, but I did notice once you get it started, that main chronograph hand, once it reaches 30 seconds, this sub-dial over here at the 3 o'clock is going to stop. I think there's ways you can hit the buttons and it'll keep track for like resetting and stuff. I don't know how it works. I don't use chronographs. It's not my thing, but you can see it stops there, but you can start it up again. And it's, I don't know if it's a split timer or however it works, but Dan Henry calls this the Pilot chronograph. There's two different models. They both are the same colorway. The only difference is the other one has a metal bezel insert, whereas this one has a black one. So let's talk about case size. I measure the actual watch case at 41.6 millimeter. His measurements on the website are actually correct. It is 42.5 millimeter at the bezel. So the bezel is a little bit wider than the case. So he's giving you that widest part minus the crowns and pushers there. So 49.8 millimeter lug to lug. You can see the lugs turn down dramatically off the case. So it's going to help wear really comfortable for being a little bit longer. 13.3, that's including the box domed. It's a mineral crystal with a sapphire coating, whatever that means. I don't know if that's like a K1 or something like that. It's scratch resistant, but it's a mineral. So 22 millimeter lug width, comes on this really nicely done leather strap. Quick release. There you get a good look at the, I believe it's some sort of oil pressed case back. It's very deeply done, but also very smooth. So it has a really nice aircraft on there. I don't know if that's the SR-71 Blackbird or something. I don't know what that is. So I'll put a link in the description. You guys can click on that and read away if you want to geek out on all the actual details. I'm just kind of showing you the watch so you guys can get a look at it, understand the size and everything like that, see what it looks like on my wrist. It's more of a show and tell. So take a closer look at the dial there. You can see it's a sandwich dial. But not only is it a sandwich dial, you know, where the indices and the 12 is, but also those three inner sub-dials are pushed down in too. So that's got to be slightly tricky to make. Maybe not, but it seems like it would be to me. It's definitely multiple layers there going on. So you can see really nice polished handset, and it has a bunch of, you know, patina type lume. There is lume. I'll give you a lume shot at the end so you can see. Let's go ahead and reset this. See that dial there does that little trickery, and then you can start it again, and it'll start up again for 30 seconds. So if you guys can explain that to me, let me know. But I don't know how that does that. So, and then the reset, it just kind of sweeps back. So, you know, I did look up that Miyota 6S20 because usually when they're like quartz movements, I like to go look up over on Esslinger to see how much they are and any other information on it. It is a no jewel movement, and Esslinger sells them for $30. So say you did need to service this or replace the movement, super affordable. It's going to be easy to do. But I mean, the watch is only a $240 watch anyway. So, but they do sell out. There is some Dan Henry models that have like completely disappeared, and they're very difficult to get. So if you did have one and you needed to, you know, replace the movement or something like that, typically these movements can be had pretty affordable, and you could either have a watchmaker do it or you could undertake it yourself. But it's doable. So the watch will last a long time. So, you know, typically these movements will also last a long time. So screw in case back, battery life on it, I forgot to look at that. It's probably going to be 3 to 5 years, something like that. So let me pop this on wrist so you can get a look at that. And then I want to talk about the bezel, because the bezel is actually pretty slick. The strap is super comfortable. So you can see there on my 7 1/4 wrist, it wears great. Typically, I'm not a chronograph guy, but I do like the way they look. I just don't really have a use for them. But I do like the busyness of the dial and everything. All right, now let's talk about this bezel, because the bezel is a bi-directional. I don't know if I can capture this, but I don't know if you guys can hear that. So on the 5s or the hours, there's like a little detent, and it kind of, you ever so slightly just feel it kind of click into place. So you can use this as tracking a second time zone, or I don't know how else you'd use it. Timing other things, I'm sure you could, you know, minutes or whatever. But because it kind of locks in on the 5s, it would lend itself to being more of a dual time zone watch. So pretty cool. I thought that it is a very smooth bi-directional action, but it's actually detented on the 5s. So I would like to see other watches possibly do this. If Dan Henry can do it at $240, other watches can do this too, and I think it would, you know, it would work better in GMT watches. I'm just saying. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to close you out with a lume shot, and I'll see you on the next vid. So yeah, you can see there's definitely lume. It's not crazy bright. I mean, the camera's probably picking it up brighter than it really is. It's definitely there, and it's definitely going to last at least a few hours, but don't expect like dive watch lume.